Welcome to another edition of Ask Isaiah. This is your host, Isaiah Rhodes. And just so you guys know what time it is, I always trust the process. This is the Philadelphia 76ers uh, fandom, broadcast, everything in between. But as always, I like to give you analysis on everything going on in the NBA. And the second round is among us. I like to trust the process. But right now, the Sixers are down 0-1 to Boston. Boston completely dominated the first game, 117 to 101. A complete domination from their big three at this point. Terry Rozier, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford combined for 83 points. The Sixers struggled from three-point land, shooting 5 of 26, and they committed 12 turnovers, which really led to Boston really getting out and knocking down some huge shots down the stretch that really stemmed the tide of the game. Boston shot 17 of 35. But I truly feel that based on how the matchups have come together, specifically with Toronto and Cleveland, one of those teams will eventually knock each other off, which will open it up for Philadelphia if they are able to get past this tough matchup with Boston. Now, Boston is shorthanded in some respects. They did not have Jaylen Brown in that particular game one victory because of a hamstring injury suffered in Game 7 against the Bucks. But they do have, as I mentioned, Terry Rozier. They have Marcus. They have Marcus Smart back. Al Horford is a stabilizing presence as a veteran, and Jason Tatum is playing out of his mind with 28 points in Game 1 in 40 minutes. As I mentioned, Terry Rozier playing extremely well. He had 29 points. And Al Horford, who had some huge threes, was really stretched the floor for Philadelphia defensively. He had 26 points. Now for Philadelphia, they're always going to be led by Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid had a solid game with over 20 points, but their turnovers in key moments really opened everything up for Boston. And then with Ben Simmons, he had 18 points, but he struggled from the free throw line shooting 7 of 13. Now, in my opinion, based on this series, I don't expect Philadelphia to struggle that bad in terms of on the perimeter. I just feel like the waves of offense that Philadelphia can bring to the table in terms of getting out and running with Ben Simmons, it should uh, really put a handle on what Boston does defensively. Now, for Philadelphia, a lot of what they do is dependent on the anchor, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid came out and said the defense that Philadelphia played in Game 1 was trash, and those words really need to hit home if Philadelphia is going to get past this tough Boston team. They're extremely well coached by Brad Stevens, and considering everything that they've been through in terms of injuries starting from Game 1 with a free agent signing Gordon Hayward, everything that Brad Stevens has done should put him in position to be a Coach of the Year candidate. Now, that's only one series in the East. Now, Cleveland escaped Indiana in a tough 7-game series with a huge Game 7 from LeBron James, 45 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Huge performance from LeBron James, improving his record to 6-2 in Game 7s. Now, 5-2 in Game 7s. Now, for LeBron, he has a tall task ahead of him against Toronto. On paper, at least, Toronto is the number 1 seed in the East, and they eclipsed the second best record in the league with 59 wins. Their complete revamping of their offense has to do with a huge bench contribution throughout the season, number 1 bench in the league. And because of that, Toronto has more balance. A lot of what they've done in the past has been reliant on Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. Now, this season, DeMar DeRozan has put up all NBA numbers, but his scoring is down because of so many contributors like C.J. Miles, OG Anunoby, DeLon Wright, and Fred VanVleet, and many others. But in Game 1, on one-day rest, Cleveland went in Toronto and completed a tough victory, 113-112 in front of Drake and the Toronto fans. Now for Cleveland, they got a balanced attack. You had 20 points from J.R. Smith, 19 points from Kyle Korver. Those two players combined for 10 3-pointers. Now considering what Toronto has done in the past, falling short against LeBron, a lot of people feel, including myself, that Toronto does not have what it takes to overcome LeBron just from a psychological standpoint. Last year, in getting swept by Cleveland after the game, after Game 4's defeat, DeMar DeRozan said, if we had LeBron, we would have won too. Now, those words, in my opinion, don't reflect how good DeMar DeRozan is, but as a competitor, you should never say those words in the time of your playing. When you have a LeBron James, obviously he's the mountain that you have to overcome. But as a competitor, you should always strive to try to knock him off, especially in your playing days. Maybe after you retire, you can admit, hey, LeBron was just that good, we couldn't beat him. But when you're playing, you should never have those words come out of your mouth, because the role players are going to look to you for guidance and instruction, and they're going to look to you to lean on when they don't have it. And if you psychologically fall short against LeBron mentally, then they're already defeated as a franchise. And I feel like until Toronto psychologically is ready to defeat LeBron, they will never defeat LeBron. And I mean, last night was case in point. 12 of 30 from the field was LeBron James. 1 of 6 from the free throw line. Not ideal. And when you consider Kevin Love shooting 3 for 13 from the field, that's a combined 15 for 43. But what happened? You had Tristan Thompson come into his home country and put on a performance that we haven't seen from Tristan Thompson in quite a while. 14 points, 12 rebounds, just giving a lot of extra possessions for Cleveland in a lot of respects, just to have them manage the clock. LeBron, triple-double performance, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. But what really stood out to me is that Kyle Korver continues to knock down huge baskets in key moments. He was 5 of 12 from 3. I mentioned J.R. Smith, 5 of 6 from 3. And Jeff Green gave him some solid scoring as well. So I feel like that in itself puts Cleveland in driver's seats to close out this series. It's only game 1, but when you still home court advantage, the confidence of Cleveland's role players should put them in position to take this series, especially when you go back to Cleveland. Cleveland knows they have the upper hand, and I feel like that home crowd should propel them in some respects. Now, when you go out west, the eyes are on Golden State. They are the defending champions, and everyone wants to knock them off. You have some contenders out west, including the Houston Rockets, but everyone wants to see how Golden State can respond to all of these challengers. And when you look at what Golden State has been able to do without Steph Curry, especially in that first round, defeating a tough San Antonio team 4-1, and then going home to defeat the New Orleans Pelicans in a blowout. Considering what New Orleans did to Portland, I think many looked at this series to be completely overmatched. But when Steph Curry came back last night, 28 points in 27 minutes, his presence was duly needed. In his time on the floor, he was plus 26 and plus minus. Off the floor, the Golden State Warriors were outscored by 21 points. They only won the game by 5, so that shows you his impact right there. 121-116 victory. Kevin Durant finished the night 11 of 23, but he started the night 6 of 17, so he really struggled from the floor. Klay Thompson struggled immensely, only scoring 10 points. He was 4 of 20 from the field. Draymond had an all-around game, 22 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. But when you consider that Rajon Rondo scored 22 points, Drew Holiday scored 24 points, Etuan Moore contributed 14 points, and Anthony Davis 50% from the floor, 12 of 24, 25 points, 12 rebounds. If you're Golden State, you feel like you won a game you probably shouldn't have. When you have that type of balance from New Orleans and you were able to go toe-to-toe with the struggling Golden State team that's a struggling from the field Golden State team. If Golden State is able to pull that up psychologically, they feel like they're in the driver's seat, because when you go on the road, in terms of championship pedigree, Golden State should feel like they have the upper hand. But what I will say is this. They always say a series doesn't start until the home team loses. And for New Orleans, their home court advantage, especially against Portland, really proved to be in their favor. So if they can get out to a good start against Golden State, especially in Game 3, that should build some confidence for them. But we have to see how all of that turns out. The other matchup out west is Houston and Utah. Utah completely shocked everyone in terms of how dominant they were against OKC. Many people picked them because of the balance that they have and how Quinn Snyder, another another great coach in terms of system and how he maximizes his players around him, similar to Brad Stevens. For Quinn Snyder to get the most out of that unit defensively, and then you have a breakout performance from Donovan Mitchell, who's arguably the Rookie of the Year, a player of that caliber to dominate the way he did against the reigning MVP and Russell Westbrook, and all of that talent that was stacked to challenge a Golden State, to knock off that OKC team in 6 games in quality fashion, to go into Houston and completely get blown off the floor. It's really surprising, but I feel like this particular matchup will be a test for Houston. Even if they do win, Utah is going to challenge them. I think James Harden's first game, 41 points and 9 rebounds, 7 assists as well. For a player of that caliber to polish his skills in preparation for a potential matchup against Golden State will only breed great competition in the future. So Utah, they're an uphill battle, but I feel like because of the system that Quinn Snyder puts out there every night, because of the maximum effort that he gets from his team, the ball movement, and the great defense led by the potential defensive player of the year 2018 season, Rudy Gobert, I just feel like Utah, even if a potential loss, probably in a 6-game series, Utah will gain much respect, especially going in the future with the budding star and Donovan Mitchell. So that's just your recap so far for the 2018 second round and going forward. Game 2 is tonight for Houston and Utah, and then Game 2 for Philadelphia and Boston will be tomorrow. Excuse me. Utah, Houston is tonight, and Boston, Philadelphia is tomorrow. So make sure you tune in. I'll have more recaps, more breakdowns, and any storylines coming up. This is Ask Isaiah, following the NBA and much more. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, commenting, anything you want to. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. This is Ask Isaiah, Isaiah Rhodes. We'll be back soon.